Welcome back to the Alice Stewart Show on 96.5 The Voice.
Welcome back to the Alice Stewart Show, 7:35. Big week ahead as many head back to the polls for a runoff in the primary. Many know the May 20th primary drew about 21% of the state's 1.6 million registered voters, and most of the races free and clear, candidates moving full speed ahead to the midterms in November. However, one big race, the Republican runoff for Attorney General, is in a very heated runoff, and I'm happy to be joined with both of the candidates here. Joining me in studio, David Sterling and Leslie Rutledge. Great to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Alice.
And as the primary shaped up, Leslie Rutledge came out ahead about 9 percentage points. You fell about 9,000 votes short of winning the seat outright with 50%. And so you are both in a runoff that will be held next Tuesday. And needless to say, it's been a pretty heated runoff. David, you have had a few outside groups give what some refer to as dark money to your campaign in various ads. You've had one before the primary on the Stand Your Ground law, and that was American Futures Fund. Now there's a new group who has came out and also contributed money, or not to your campaign. These are obviously not coordinated, but this is a group with another ad buy that is on the airways. We're going to play this ad, and this deals with the Stand Your Ground law, which is something that you support. And this ad that is running now points out that your opponent points out her position on this. We're going to play the ad and get your take on this, and also have Leslie respond.
Law-abiding Arkansans should have the right to use deadly force in self-defense wherever and whenever threatened. Arrogant politicians like Leslie Rutledge disagree. Rutledge says you have a duty to retreat when threatened outside your home. Think about it. When the life of you or a loved one is threatened, Rutledge says you must retreat rather than stand your ground. It's a position Rutledge shares with Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi. Call Leslie Rutledge today and tell her to stand with law-abiding Arkansans, not with Obama and Pelosi.
David, your response to this ad?
Well, the ad was obviously produced by an outside group. There's no coordination between my campaign and the Judicial Crisis Network, I think is what it's called, that produced the ad. And, it's not something that we put out. We're just focused on our message of the fact that, I'm the only candidate that actually supports the Stand Your Ground law here in the state of Arkansas, and we'll have that in my initial legislative package that I offer to the legislature, and hopefully that, one of the legislators will take up that bill and marshal it through. I'm the only candidate that has offered a solution to our broken death penalty system through the proposed new drug cocktail with the use of pentobarbital that you and I have talked about before. Right. And I'm the only candidate in the race that has a plan to actually fight this federal overreach that Ms. Rutledge talks about. On the campaign trail, she's talked time and time again about, when she becomes Attorney General, she's going to fight back against the federal government by waking up every day and asking herself, how can I sue the federal government? And I've actually got a responsible plan for doing that. So that's the issue. Those are the issues that I'm focused on, and I'm trying to focus on those issues until Election Day. Early voting starts tomorrow on June 3rd, and of course Election Day is a week from tomorrow on June 10th.
Absolutely. Make sure folks get out and vote early. Leslie, I want your response. This ad is a significant ad buy, over $300,000 by Judicial Crisis Network. Also, mailers. I want you to respond to it.
It's not just a $320,000 TV ad buy. It's radio ad. It's mail pieces, and they're just outright lies. Leslie Rutledge, just so your listeners know, I have never stated that I oppose Stand Your Ground law. And so the Judicial Crisis Network and my opponent, if he's saying that I have opposed it, they're just lies. And what we have is out-of-state dark money coming in trying to buy the Attorney General's race. When you're spending $1 million on lies, then you're just trying to buy the race. My record speaks for itself. I have been a prosecutor. I'm the only one that has ever dealt with a criminal case. My opponent has never even handled a criminal case. So how could we trust him to protect the citizens against crime? I'm a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. I believe self-defense is a fundamental human right. I carry a Glock 2740 caliber. This race is about qualifications, and the only case that we've ever heard that my opponent has been part of is representing Cupid's, which is the largest distributor of pornography in the state. And how can the citizens of Arkansas trust someone as the chief legal officer that represented a company that offers pornography online, unfiltered, accessible to any child. And that's what we need to be talking about is trust, because you have my opponent lying about my record, people supporting him lying about my record, and my opponent, David Sterling, representing the pornography industry.
I want to get you to reply on that, but on the issue of these ads, and like you say, there's no coordination between you and whether Judicial Crisis Network or American Futures Fund, who did a first round of ads. But given that your opponent says the ad is a lie, it's not truthful, that doesn't represent her record, with that, do you denounce the ads? Do you stand by them? Do you feel they should continue to run through the runoff?
I don't promote or denounce them. I mean, there's nothing untrue in the ads.
Well, there is, because I've never said that I oppose a stand your ground law, David.
We were on the Larry Henry program separately last fall, and Larry Henry asked her point blank if she supported, if she thought the current law was adequate, and we don't have a stand your ground law. She said yes. He said specifically on duty to retreat, which is what the current law in Arkansas is. He said, "Are you good with duty to retreat?" She said yes, unambiguously. So I don't think there's anything untrue in the ads. I mean, the thing that is interesting, though, is, my opponent has voted in 5 Democrat primaries in Pulaski County in 1998, 2000, 2002, 2004, and 2006, and has actually contributed to the Democrat Party. So, she's sitting here saying that she's the conservative. She's out on the campaign trail for the last year talking about that she's a lifelong Republican, yet she's not voted in any Republican primaries I haven't
actually, that's not true either.
Well,
I have voted in Republican primaries, and I will hold my conservative credentials as a Republican leader in Arkansas, as someone that's been involved in the Republican Party, worked for Republican candidates like Mike Huckabee when he was governor. And that's where I got my experience advising state agencies and being a prosecutor and working for Governor Huckabee when he ran for president, working as counsel at the Republican National Committee. I'll hold those conservative credentials up against someone who represented the pornography industry like David Sterling has. David Sterling has represented the pornography industry. If I'm going to be held accountable for voting in Democratic primary, then he should be, we need someone that can protect our children. And that's what I have done, is protect our children. These ads are outright lies. And I think it speaks to David's inexperience in criminal law, total lack of experience in criminal law. We have a duty to retreat only if you can do so safely. If someone's pointing a gun at you, you can't do so safely. And I understand that because I have worked in criminal law. David Sterling doesn't understand that. He's trying to scare people. They're lying to people. Arkansans are smarter than being lied to. And I don't know who's more upset, me or Nancy Pelosi, that we've been linked together, because I worked my tail off to fire Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House when I was the lawyer for the Republican National Committee in 2010 and 2012.
David?
Ms. Rutledge talks about experience here, and the fact of the matter is, and she talks about the only case that she knows of is this one. I've handled hundreds of cases throughout my 15 years of business and civil litigation experience here. Ms. Rutledge has only been in the private practice. Actually, she's never been in the private practice.
Actually, I am right now. So
okay,
there you go again, lying again.
If you look at the Secretary of State's website and see when Ms. Rutledge established the Rutledge Law Firm, it was last March when she moved back here from Washington, D.C. after living there for 5 years as a political operative. And she's been running for Attorney General ever since. She was running around the Capitol last year trying to garner support before she made her announcement to run. So she's never been in the private practice of law. She's only got 2 years of actual law practice experience.
And now that is an outright lie, David. We have gone over this on Capitol View. We've gone over it on radio stations. I've been a practicing lawyer for 13 years. Lawyer is synonymous with counsel. I was counsel at the Republican National Committee. I handled legal cases. Federal Election Commission, Federal Communications Commission, all of these things I advised. When people went and voted for Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan on the ballot, it's because Leslie Rutledge, as a lawyer, worked with the Secretaries of State. I was a lawyer for Governor Mike Huckabee. I was not a political operative. If you're going to say I'm a political operative, then we will look at what sort of operative you were based on the pornography industry that you represented.
All right. Well, I'm going to go to break, but I want you to respond to that.
Thank you.
No, go. You respond to that specific.
I'm sorry. Again, like I was saying before she interrupted me, I've been practicing law representing Arkansas families, Arkansas businesses, Arkansas small businesses in the state of Arkansas, dealing with matters of Arkansas law in Arkansas courts for my entire 15-year legal career. I've got the highest peer review rating. We lawyers, we subject ourselves to peer review. Lawyers and judges give us ratings. I've gotten the highest peer review rating for my preeminent legal skills and my highest ethical standards. And to question my ethics and everything. I've been married now for 22 years. I've got a wonderful wife, Deanie, at home. I've got a 11-year-old daughter. I go to Fellowship Bible Church, been going there for 20 years. I sing in the church choir. I have led community groups over the years, and Ms. Rutledge picking out one case in my entire legal career and trying to focus on that and trying to mislead people and tell them that I represent the porn industry.
Well, you did, David. You represented coupons in a non-compete case, so that way they could have a monopoly. Let's make sure the listeners understand. David Sterling represented a pornography industry, so they could have a monopoly, a non-compete case. He could have turned this case down. He chose to be paid by the pornography industry. David Sterling chose to be paid by the pornography industry.
There's a lot that Ms. Rutledge doesn't understand because she's not practiced private law, but there's a lot of this stuff that I can't talk about because of attorney-client privilege.
Well, they can look the cases up for themselves at the Pulaski County Courthouse.
And because of a confidentiality agreement. But if people want to look it up, they can see what the allegations are in there. I'm a business lawyer. Businesses come to me because of my preeminent legal skills and highest ethical standards and ask me to represent them. And as a lawyer, I think that people have a duty to represent people who find themselves in these circumstances. And I don't judge people. It's just like if there's a law in Arkansas that I disagree with. It
wasn't a criminal case. This wasn't an indigent defendant being wrongly accused, David.
I think we're going to take a break right there, and we'll be back. We're going to discuss a few more issues that have been key in this race, certainly with the death penalty and other key factors, the life issue surrounding the runoff for Attorney General. We joined in studio with David Sterling and Leslie Rutledge. More after this segment of the Alice Stewart Show, brought to you by Arrow Plumbing. For all of your household or business plumbing needs, call Arrow Plumbing at 1-866-PLUMBER or schedule an appointment online at arrowplumbing.net. We'll be back.
You gotta live and learn, you gotta crash and burn, you gotta make some stances and take some chances, you gotta laugh and love and take all life has to give. You gotta live and learn so you can learn to live.
The Alice Stewart Show on 96.5 The Voice.